Time, time. Bilbo just gave the answer to the riddle that Gollum asked him, pretty much by pure luck. And that's where we pick up today, while Anna is eating all kinds of good stuff for breakfast, and Alex is playing with his teething toy. Bilbo was saved by pure luck, for that was, of course, the answer. Gollum was disappointed once more, and now he was getting angry, and also tired of the game. It had made him very hungry, indeed. This time he did not go back to the boat. He sat down in the dark by Bilbo. That made the hobbit most dreadfully uncomfortable and scattered his wits. "It's got to ask us a question, my precious. Yes, yes, yes. Just one more question to guess. Yes, yes," said Gollum. But Bilbo simply could not think of any question with that nasty, wet, cold thing sitting next to him and pawing and poking him. He scratched himself. He pinched himself. Still he could not think of anything. Ask us, said Gollum. Ask us, yeah. Bilbo pinched himself and slapped himself. He gripped... Oh yeah, there's Geordie. There's Geordie the cat. Don't touch him though with your fingers full of honey. Bilbo pinched himself and slapped himself. He gripped on his little sword, but he gripped on his little sword, yeah. He even felt in his pocket with his other hand. There he found the ring he had picked up in the passage and forgotten about. "What have I got in my pockets?" he said aloud. He was talking to himself, but Gollum thought it was a riddle, and he was frightfully upset. Not fair, he hissed. No fair? No, it isn't fair, my precious. Is it to ask us what's in its nasty little pockets? Bilbo, seeing what had happened and having nothing better to ask, stuck to his question. "What have I got in my pockets?" he said louder. "Shh!" hissed Gollum. "It must give us 3 guesses, my precious. 3 guesses." "Very well. Guess away," said Gollum. "Hanses," said Gollum. Hanses? "Wrong," said Bilbo, who had luckily just taken his hand out again. "Guess again." "Shh!" said Gollum, more upset than ever. He thought of all things he kept in his pockets: fish bones, goblin teeth, wet shells, a bit of bat wing, a sharp stone to sharpen his fangs on, and other nasty things. He tried to think of other people and what they kept in their pockets. "Knife," he said at last. "Wrong," said Bilbo, who had lost his some time ago. "Last guess." Now Gollum was in much worse state than when Bilbo had asked him the egg question. Or asked him the egg question. He hissed and spluttered. Hi, brother. Hi, brother. Hi, Alex. You want your toy? Har leken din? Okay. He hissed and spluttered and rocked himself backwards and forwards and slapped his feet on the floor. He wriggled and squirmed, but still he did not dare to waste his last guess. "Come on," said Bilbo, "I'm waiting." He tried to sound bold and cheerful, but he did not feel at all sure how the game was going to end, whether Gollum guessed right or not. "Time's up," he said. "String or something!" shrieked Gollum, which was not quite fair, working in 2 guesses at once. "Both wrong," cried Bilbo, very much relieved, and he jumped at once to his feet, put his back to the nearest wall, and held out his little sword. He knew, of course, that the riddle game was sacred and of immense antiquity, and even wicked creatures were afraid to cheat when they played at it. but he felt he could not trust this slimy thing to keep any promise at a pinch. Any excuse would do for him to slide out of it. And after all that last question had not been a genuine riddle according to the ancient laws. But at any rate, Gollum did not at once attack him. He could see the sword in Bilbo's hand. Mm-hmm.
Oh no, we're keeping.
He's just drooling a little bit.
It's you.
Nah, drool. It's not puke. It's just drool. Boop. We booped his nose, then everything is good. Here's your toy. There. But at any rate, Gollum did not at once attack him. He could see the sword in Bilbo's hand. He sat still, shivering and whispering. At last, Bilbo could wait no longer. Well, he said, what about your promise? I want to go. You must show me the way. Did we say so, precious? Show the nasty little Baggins the way out? Yes, yes, but what has it got in its pockets, Not string, precious? But not nothing. Oh no, Gollum. Never you mind, said Bilbo. A promise is a promise. Cross it is. Impatient, precious, hissed Gollum, but it must wait. Yes, it must. We can't go up the tunnels so hasty. We must go and get some things first. Yes, things to help us. Well, hurry up, said Bilbo, relieved to think of Gollum going away. He thought he was just making an excuse and did not mean to come back. What was Gollum talking about? Yeah, maybe he's not coming back. What useful things could he keep out on the dark lake? But he was wrong. Gollum did mean to come back. He was angry now and hungry, and he was a miserable, wicked creature, and already he had a plan. Yeah, he had a plan. Not far away was his island, of which Bilbo knew nothing, and there, in his hiding place, he kept a few wretched oddments, and one very beautiful thing, very beautiful, very wonderful. He had a ring, a golden ring, a precious ring. My birthday present, he whispered to himself, as he had done often in the endless dark days. That's what we wants now. Yes, we wants it. He wanted it because it was a ring of power. Hmm? And if you slipped that ring on your finger, you were invisible. You two are having fun. Only in the full sunlight could you be seen, and then only by your shadow, and that would be shaky and faint. My birthday present. It came to me on my birthday, my precious. So he had always said to himself. But who knows how Gollum came by that present, ages ago, in the old days, when such rings were still at large in the world. Perhaps even the master who ruled them could not have said. Gollum used to wear it at first, till it tired him, and then he kept it in a pouch next his skin, till it galled him. And now usually he hid it, in a hole in the rock on the island, and was always going back to look at it. Okay, juice refill time.
Bye.
Bye. I'm not going that far, but okay. There you go. Yeah. Yes, he hid it in a hole in the rock on his island and was always going back to look at it. And still sometimes he put it on when he could not bear to be parted from it any longer. Mhm. So when he was very, very hungry and tired of fish, then he would creep along dark passages looking for stray goblins. He might even venture into places where the torches were lit and made his eyes blink and smart, for he would be safe. Oh yes, quite safe. No one... Ja, bra du liker det. No one would see him. No one would notice him till he had his fingers on their throat. Only a few hours ago he had worn it and caught a small goblin imp. How it squeaked! But he still had a bone or two left to gnaw, but he wanted something softer. Quite safe, yes, he whispered to himself. It won't see us, will it, my precious? No, it won't see us, and its nasty little sword will be useless. Yes, quite. This is what was in his wretched little mind. So he slipped suddenly from Bilbo's side and flapped back to his boat and went off into the dark. Bilbo thought he had heard the last of him. Still he waited a while, for he had no idea how to find his way out alone. Suddenly he heard a screech. It sent a shiver down his back. Gollum was cursing and wailing away in the gloom, not very far off by the sound of it. He was on his island, scrabbling here and there, searching and seeking in vain. Where is it? Where is it? Bilbo heard him crying. Lost it is, my precious. Lost, lost. Curse us and crush us, my precious is lost. What's the matter? Bilbo called. What have you lost? It mustn't ask us, shrieked Gollum. Not its business. No, Gollum. It's lost. Gollum, Gollum, Gollum. Well, so am I, cried Bilbo. And I want to get unlost, and I won the game, and you promised. So come along. Come and let me out, and then go on with your looking. Utterly miserable as Gollum sounded, Bilbo could not find much pity in his heart, and he had a feeling that anything Gollum wanted so much would hardly be something good. Come along, he shouted. No, not yet, precious, Gollum. Uh-oh. That is Geordie. Geordie has joined us by the table. No, not yet, precious, Gollum answered. Daddy. Yeah, good. Tell him to go down. Now he sat on a chair. That's good. Gollum answered. We must search for it. It's lost, Gollum. But you never guessed my last question, and you promised, said Bilbo. Never guessed, said Gollum. Then suddenly out of the gloom came a sharp hiss. What has it got in its pocket, sis? Tell us that. It must tell us. As far as Bilbo knew, there was no particular reason why he should not tell. Gollum's mind had jumped to a guess quicker than his, naturally, for Gollum had brooded for ages on this one thing, and he was always afraid of it being stolen. But Bilbo was annoyed at the delay. After all, he had won the game pretty fairly at a horrible risk. Answers were to be guessed, not given, he said. But it wasn't a fair question, said Gollum. Not a riddle, precious, no. Oh well, if it's a matter of ordinary questions, Bilbo replied, then I ask one first. What have you lost? Tell me that. What has it got in its pockets? The sound. Yeah, the sound came hissing louder and sharper. And as he looked towards it. To his alarm, Bilbo now saw two small points of light peering at him. As suspicion grew in Gollum's mind, the light of his eyes burned with a pale flame. What have you lost? Bilbo persisted. But now the light in Gollum's eyes had become a green fire, and it was coming swiftly nearer. Gollum was in his boat again, paddling wildly back to the dark shore, and such a rage of loss and suspicion was in his heart that no sword had any more terror for him. Bilbo could not guess what had maddened the wretched creature, but he saw that all was up, and that Gollum meant to murder him at any rate. Just in time, he turned and ran blindly into the dark passage down which he had come, keeping close to the wall and feeling it with his left hand. "What has it got in its pocket?" says. He heard the hiss loud behind him, and the splash as Gollum leapt from his boat. What have I, I wondered, he said to himself, as he panted. What have I wonder, he said to himself, as he panted and stumbled along. He put his left hand in his pocket, and he put his left hand in his pocket. The ring felt very cold, and it slipped on to his groping forefinger. They're not calm. The whole. Shh. Calm down. Okay. Does that mean we have to stop now? I guess so. Bilbo, it's slipping on the ring of power. And that's what the Nazgul would have said about it. But they're not here, fortunately. It's only Gollum. So to Gollum, Bilbo is now invisible. So let's stop there. Things are starting to take a downhill slide here. So we will catch up with Bilbo later. And I think tomorrow is weekend, so there probably won't be anything else from the lunch and literature front until Monday. So yep, you can say that one more time. Bye.